Well, good morning. Off on another trip. It is Tuesday, probably about 11 o'clock, just after 11. Bit of a slow start to the day, but it is an absolutely perfect Tuesday. Temperatures probably in the high teens, and it's likely to remain absolutely cloud-free for my whole trip. Now, obviously, as well, summer's kind of finished and the temperatures are getting a lot cooler, so not too worried about snakes. I do have my snake kit inside my first aid kit just in case, but definitely makes you a little bit more careful when you're walking through quite heavy vegetation like that, where you're stepping and making sure there's nothing kind of slithering or hissing at you as you take your next step. It's caught me out before. Just walking beside a creek at the moment. Well, you pretty much walk beside the creek all the way till you intersect it. But before the floods, this creek here, and I'll show you, was a quarter the size that it is now, if that. It was barely noticeable. Just a little tiny stream, basically running alongside the trail. Whereas now it's a really dominant feature. I've had to cross it quite a few times just because it's taken out the path in so many different places. The floods really changed the landscape around here. Just coming up to the creek junction, you can see there, and wow, again, this used to be a much smaller creek. You can see the floods have at least doubled this thing in size. What I have to do now is find somewhere to cross the creek, which should be easy enough, and then let me flip the camera around. Basically, I will be heading up this ridge line all the way to the top. Now, there used to be a bit of a goat's trail which used to start a little bit further down there. I'm hoping that's still there and it's not too overgrown, because getting to this junction has taken me almost twice as long as I anticipated, because of the amount of scrub and how much the trail disappears and kind of rock hopping along the new creek down there. So fingers crossed I'll be able to get onto a trail here and head up the ridgeline without too much trouble. So I've just come up from the creek. You can see it just behind me back there. And I found this quite faint, but definitely indistinguishable trail. So just going to start following this thing up, and hopefully this is the right path up this spur. Looks pretty good and pretty familiar to what I did last time. And as you can see, thankfully, it is not too scrubby or dense or bushy, so it's just going to be plain old slog up the hill rather than having to bush bash my way through. It's really important just to stop and take a look back when you're climbing hills like this, because, I mean, look. Just wow. Wow. So good to be out here. So good to be out here. Just approaching the top of the spur finally, and there's a really nice rock here where you get a freaking amazing view. Take a look. So that's the direction that we've come from, and if we go back over to the left, that's the direction we're heading. So we're going to follow the spur up to the end. You can kind of see a bit of a ridge just here, which we kind of go along. Then it loops around to the right hand side of that little mountain there. You can see a little saddle just there. So we're either going to go up that saddle or just continue a little bit more to the right, and then there's a little tiny scramble up that way. So, and then camping on the far side of that mountain there, which is which opens up to a lot of views. Anyway, that's the plan. It is 2 hours in, almost 1 o'clock, so still not even halfway, so still got a little bit to go. But just definitely taking it easy and enjoying it, because it is freaking stunning up here. For the last little bit, the trail has very much been like this, where there really is not much of a trail, just faint little bits of trail here and there, but it kind of is overgrown. It appears, it disappears, and it is quite difficult to follow. Trying to take it nice and easy as well. Watch out for snakes and things like that. But should be getting reasonably close to the intersecting trail which we're going to take, and that's generally a much more well-worn path, so hopefully can make up some time on that one. But at the moment it's back to trying to find this damn trail. Just made it to the trail intersection. See the markers there, and behind me is where I came from. So it's been pretty much the last, well, it's 1:45 now, so the last 45 minutes are pretty much pure bush bashing, but this is, as you can probably see, a much more established trail. Even this trail is pretty overgrown, as you can see, but it's not too bad. Definitely a lot better than what I went through beforehand. Only just. I've got into Mob Swamp, and last time I was here, which was not long after the fires, this was all gone and all flat. And I was thinking, look, I might actually just camp here tonight. Haven't stayed here before, and thought, why not just have a nice easy hike. My hip's playing up a little bit, and I don't kind of want to push it before the race in 2 weeks' time. But it is, I mean, look at it. There's absolutely nowhere to camp. So what I will do is I'll fill up my water here. I did scope out at like a plan B, plan C a little bit further back there, which might just do. But I will head a little bit further in that direction and see if there's anywhere good to camp. But while I'm next to the creek and I know I can fill up here, I'll have a bit of a break and maybe actually have something to eat. And go from there. Water all filled up, back on the trail and on the lookout for somewhere to spend the night. I am camping under my tarp tonight, so I don't need too much room, but everywhere is so overgrown like you saw beforehand, so hopefully I can come across a spot reasonably soon and I don't have to backtrack, because that plan B or C or whatever wasn't really ideal. But there might be some spots around here. Let's have a look. Here we go. Awesome. Well, that's pretty perfect, but it's a pretty big open spot for a pretty big group. So far I'm here by myself. There was a few cars in the car park. So what I might do is still scout around a little bit and see if there's kind of any smaller spots. So if anybody else does rock up, I'm a little bit more solo and away from everybody else. Let's have a look. Alright, so this definitely looks like pretty much the only spot around because of all the growth everywhere. So I will just pitch my tarp probably off to the side, off this tree here, just out of the way so that there is room for more people if they want it, but hopefully nobody else comes, being a Tuesday. First things first though, I think I am going to get some food. For today, some noodles. Pretty standard, right? All set up there, so I'm going to find some firewood. There's plenty of fallen trees, just got to break some branches up, set everything up. It is currently 3:30, so heaps of time. So far nobody else around, even though, like I mentioned before, there was quite a few cars at the car park, but maybe they've actually gone to Splendor Rock, which doesn't have a lot of campsites on it, so maybe it is a good thing I didn't make it up there, because if it is anything as overgrown as it is around here, there'd be way fewer sites up there at the moment. So feeling better and better about setting up here, even though it's kind of not really where I had intended to go. But today is, this trip is just about chilling out, just viewing the rest of a pretty epic sunset. I don't know if much of it will come up on the pocket there, but there are some amazing colors in the sky. But that is also my cue, since it's nearly over, to light the fire and get dinner going soon. So let's light this sucker up. It's about 20 to 6 now. Fire is going. It is so nice and peaceful. Just waiting for the fire to burn down a little bit and make some coals. I've got some garlic bread to put in, all wrapped up in aluminium foil. So put that on the coals and heat that up and get that nice and crispy, and Along with that, I'm going to have my soup, so really looking forward to dinner tonight. It should be quite filling. One little thing that is going to be pretty interesting is I've noticed and I've seen a few little tiny mice around. So I think I'm gonna definitely have to hang my food bag just off a branch up there or something. And I'm really hoping that they don't still dig into my pack or into my bivvy bag or anything like that. Alright, I think it is time to get dinner on the go. I'll show you what I have. This is my the food bag. I've got to keep away from those pesky little mice. But for dinner, this will be my garlic bread, which I will chuck on the fire very shortly. And then, just like in the last video, I've got my on the pulse soup. So 2 packets works quite well, especially with some garlic bread. No wine for me tonight, unfortunately. I do have Snickers bar for dessert. Just going to spread those coals out a little bit. Bring some coals to the front of the fire pit. Put the garlic bread in. Let's get this guy on. Now, I've got a few layers on this because last time I did this there was definitely not enough layers and the smoke is in my eyes. So it burnt it, so hopefully this will be a little bit better, but I have no idea how long to put it on for, so we'll just kind of see how we go. Alright, let's just leave that there and get the soup on the go in the meantime. Let's light this sucker up. I have a bad feeling that my garlic bread is burning. Alright, water is boiled. Let's get the soup going. Packet 1 in. Time for packet 2. Let's get the garlic bread. Alright, moment of truth. Just, maybe could have been in there a little bit longer, but it's nice and warm and crispy. There's my soup there, so that's my dinner. Time to enjoy. That dinner was definitely a success, but man, these mice are running around. I don't know, I think there's definitely more than one of them. There must be at least a good 3 or 4 of them. I made sure I cleaned my bowl quite a bit away from where I am, so hopefully the smell and stuff kind of drives them out. Try and get one of these mice on a film. There is actually a lot of these guys, and I saw them climbing the tree before. You can see my bags up there, hopefully discourage them a little bit. Ready? Check all these little guys out. They're everywhere. So that's going to be a fun night tonight with friends. Well, good morning. That definitely made for an interesting night. I could hear those little mouse things running around everywhere for pretty much the whole night. Heard them launching themselves at the edge of the bivvy, trying to jump up and then climb up. Actually, once this was strung up, one time close to the morning, actually I saw one running across the ridgeline. I don't know how he got up, but also saw him running across the ridgeline of the tarp. My biggest concern with all that is them chewing through or clawing or just damaging the materials. So definitely gonna have to give it a good good look over when I get home, make sure there's no little holes or anything like that. There was even more drama with my bag, which I'll show you what I ended up doing in a sec once I get up. So originally I had the bag hung up by its shoulder straps up on this branch here, and the food was in the bag, so that's why I thought I'd kind of hang it up away from the tent and from the bivvy and everything. Now obviously they can probably climb trees, and that's what they started doing, so I put my poncho kind of over the top of the bag, which did work for a while. I had them scurry up the tree, kind of make contact with the poncho, and then I had that and just fall on the ground and scurry away. So it's kind of a little bit entertaining for a bit. But then I think it was especially one which figured out how to, I don't know how he did it, but kind of get his way inside the poncho and started scurrying around the bag. And I got up once, kind of brushed him away, I thought it was a fluke. But a couple of minutes later he made his way back in. So what I ended up doing is, this is my bag. Mouse-proof bag. So cut some of the spare cord that you can just maybe see here, and hung the bag up, and then for a bit of extra protection again I put the poncho around, just if they were going to accidentally fall, they didn't really have anything to grip onto. They would just kind of hit that, not be able to grab and slide and fall off. So didn't have any problems with my bag after that, which is good. But like I said before, they were just running amok all over camp during the whole night, and hopefully there's no damage or issues to the tarp. Looks pretty good. So the time at the moment is pretty much bang on 7 o'clock. I am going to pack up, maybe have a quick coffee. I am by the creek, so might as well have a coffee and maybe even some breakfast. I wasn't going to, but it is a nice calm still morning, and then head on off. So that's it, all packed up and ready to go. Definitely an interesting night in that camp spot. Probably not one I would be happy to stay in again. Those mice were just annoying. I did have a look at my pack and my shelter and bivvy, and at the moment it doesn't look like any damage. I did find a hole in my food bag though, which I think they did while it was still out by the fire. Now I am going to head back mostly the same way. However, I was looking at the map a little bit earlier, and rather than going through the bush bashing section, I'm actually going to continue past that turnoff, and there's actually a more managed four-wheel drive trail which I'm going to take and loop around the back to where the car is. It is a longer distance, but it is following the top of the ridgeline, and it is also much more managed trail, so it should take me probably about the same amount of distance. There wasn't too much rain, but there's a lot of this stuff to cover through here, so I'm going to get on with it and show you guys the trail as I go along. Such a beautiful morning. It's nice and cool, slightly misty, no wind. It is like hiking paradise right now. So thinking this trail was a bit more open, managed and easier to follow wasn't entirely the case. Still definitely very, very overgrown in sections. But I can see where I'm placing my feet, which is a bonus. Just exiting the single trail, and gonna start walking on this much wider, much more managed fire trail. Definitely not as exciting, but probably a little bit safer at the moment and better for my hip anyway. So about 4k's in and about an hour and 5 minutes in, so making pretty good time and should make even better time on this trail. Have probably about another 6 or 7k's to go. Such a beautiful morning, definitely no rush though. Well, I'm about a k and a half away from the car, so might as well sign off here while it's still quite nice. As always, thanks so much for watching. If you have made it up to this point, do give the video a like. It does help out the channel, helps out the video. And feel free to check out my other stuff. A bit more hiking, camping stuff on the channel, plus a bit of climbing, bit of canyoning, bit of kayaking, etc. So if you're into that stuff, feel free to subscribe. But either way, thanks again for watching. Hopefully see you on the next one, and bye for now.